Hey, boys and girls, how are you today? If you are in this group, there is probably a chance that you're having a little bit of a difficult time understanding how to answer questions and solve problems that involve line plots. And I don't blame you because it's very tricky. You got these X's. You could see my shared screen. You got these X's. You're like, okay, I got these X's. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be counting the X's or am I supposed to be adding all these numbers together? I'm not really sure. So I'm going to walk you through a little small group on something that I find to be really helpful for me when understanding line plots. And that is making sure to understand the two pieces of data that are being displayed. Because if you're looking at a line plot, you know what? Let me reverse. Let me just show you what I mean by that. So I could use let's use my scribble tool. And let's just look at our data table, right? We've got a data table here. And there are, you said, Miss Bone, you just said make sure to know what two pieces of information. What are you talking about, Miss Bone? What are you talking about? These are the two pieces of information that are being displayed on your line plot. The height of the students and how many students. So I'm going to continue using that scribble tool. Actually, you know what? I'm going to annotate for you guys so I can color code this a little bit better for you to hopefully help it pop out. So height of second grade students is on this line plot, but also the number of students is being displayed on this line plot. And let me tell you, if you don't understand whether the X's represent the students or the heights, you're going to have a really hard time solving problems because you're not going to be able to understand when to count the X's or when to count the numbers. Okay, so I'm going to color code because it's something you can do in class or even on your slides when you're looking at a line plot and you're solving problems and you're seeing this question like, let me go back to black, like it's my pencil. What is the difference? It's a pop out problem solving question between the tallest student and the shortest student. Now let me try to think what this question is even asking me to look at. Is this question asking me to look at their heights? Or is this question asking me to look at the students? Now, boys and girls, I just did something that you can do at your desk too, because here's what's tricky about line plots. They only have labels for one part of the data. They only label one part of the data. Down here, we know that this 40, this 41, this 42, those all represent the inches. See, I'm going to put a big old check mark above inches here. Annotating tool's a little slow. Give it a second. I'm going to put a big check mark above inches. I know that when I'm being asked about the inches, I'm going to be looking at those numbers. But then what about these numbers up here? These numbers up here are not inches. These, let me take that back. I made a mistake. They're not numbers, they're X's. They represent amounts, but these X's are representing the other piece of data in the table, which are the students. So you have to ask yourself, boys and girls, when you're solving problems about line plots, is this question asking me something about the height? Or is this question asking me something about the students? And a really great way to help yourself understand that is to do exactly what I just showed you. Circle both the different pieces of information and label them yourself, so you're real clear which is which. Now, when I look at this and I say, what is the difference between the tallest student and the shortest student? This isn't asking me how many students. This is asking me about the students' heights. So I'm not going to be counting X's to solve this problem. I'm going to be down here looking at the heights. These are the heights. Here's the tallest one. Here's the shortest one. And I got to find the difference between those two, right? Now, boys and girls, the next slide has a totally different problem. And you're going to see how it's going to help us to sort of circle it and label it. I've got it already circled again, right? I've got my students. The X's are still my students. And the numbers are still the heights. And now let's look at this question. How many students are taller than 44 inches? So if I get a question that's asking me about students, am I going to be counting X's or looking at numbers? Look at our line plot. Which one represents students and is going to help me answer a question about students, not height? I got to answer a question about students. You're right, boys and girls, you're right. We're going to count the X's. And how is that easy for me to jump to and know? Because I already circled and labeled my two pieces of information from my data table. And now this question, I'm going to be over here going, okay, here's my 44 inches. Here's 44 inches, but how many students are taller? So I'm not going to be going over here counting 45, 46, because 45 and 46 don't represent students. 45, 46 represent inches. And this question isn't asking me about inches. This question is asking me about students. So I'm going to be over here counting all the students that are taller than 44 inches. Boys and girls, I urge you with these line plot lessons, before you start answering the questions about the line plots, take some time to look at your table, circle your X's, circle your numbers, and make sure you understand what the X's represent and what the numbers represent. I know you can do it, boys and girls. Line plots, they are definitely tricky, but if you just take some time to break them down and really understand that data, I think you're going to find them to be a snap. Good luck.